Remember when Paul Bearer got buried alive in cement?
Do you remember when Triple H had sex with a corpse?
Remember when Gene Snitsky played Kick the Baby?
Oh. Hi, my name is Sylvia Nix.
And I'm Jaymes Mansfield, and you're watching
Queens of the Ring. In today's episode, we're talking about things in wrestling that we wish would die.
These are wrestling tropes that we want to see left in the past.
Just overdone, useless BS that we can see a mile away all the damn time, and WWE just loves to shove them down our throat like your dad's wiener.
Like taking the tops of the turnbuckles off, it's a wrestling trope that is just so overdone. And stop it!
Stop it! At number 5, so if you guys watch Monday Night Raw or Tuesday Night SmackDown Live or whatever they're calling it nowadays, you'll notice that in the past couple of years, you'll see like a lot of the same matches happen repeatedly week in and week out with like finishes that are only this close from being different from each other.
Or a roll-up.
Yeah.
Usually a roll-up.
And it really does the wrestlers no favors. It's boring, it's trite.
And it doesn't do anything for people on the undercard who never get chances to do anything or be seen at all. Like the tag team division, I feel like is the worst offender of this.
Oh my god.
We saw the New Day fight the Usos for at least 8 years.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, at least 8 years. It doesn't, the wrestlers no favors either. Like you can't put anybody over if you're just gonna have them like lose again the next week.
Or hot potatoing the belts. Like I feel like I haven't seen an actual championship defended for like more than once in like 17 years.
Except for the Universal Championship, which...
I always forget it's even there.
Exactly.
I legitimately forgot Brock Lesnar was the champion like 8 times in the last 4 years.
Well, that's another trope that I don't think we actually put on this. Like,
he's the Margaret Thatcher of the WWE.
I don't know who Margaret Thatcher is.
She was the Prime Minister of England, and it felt like she was Prime Minister for 800 years.
Oh, all right. You learned something new by watching wrestling YouTube, apparently.
I know the world. And speaking of things that just won't die, number 4 is full of those wrestling moments where you think, shouldn't he be dead?
Or maimed, mauled,
Missing
destroyed.
something?
Like, why is he here after 24 hours within that big thing happening?
Wasn't he just flipped over in an ambulance?
Right. Didn't Shane McMahon just fall 50 feet from the top of a Hell in a Cell? Now, there's only one time in history that I ever remember this working for me, and that was when Rikishi did it for The Rock. Because Stone Cold sold this injury for, I want to say, well over a year. Like, that kind of accident, and that isn't even the worst offense on this list. We've seen people literally get thrown from the top of a 60-foot Titantron. We've seen people getting flipped over in an ambulance or crushed by a semi or what have you. I mean, The Rock actually should have been dead after what Hulk Hogan did to him in the build-up to WrestleMania 18. It's just, there's no way to sell this.
There's very few ways to do this and make it really work. I feel like the most successful storyline they ever did like this was actually not a WWE storyline. Remember when Sandman got blinded?
Oh, yeah.
And he sold it for months?
Which is how you should do things.
And the
like
build-up
this.
and the payoff was so good. Like the big reveal you got at the very end of that feud was amazing.
I don't remember that one, actually.
Oh.
Yeah.
It was him and Tommy Dreamer. And
I remember
Tommy
him
Dreamer
being blind.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sandman was led into the ring blind with woman. She was leading him around because she was his valet.
Yeah.
And Tommy Dreamer made the mistake of turning his back on the Sandman, who then took off his sunglasses and caned the crap out of Tommy Dreamer.
You know I love a good caning. Here's the thing with it. I don't mind if you have these crazy big accidents. I like watching Shane McMahon jump from I like watching Triple H drop cars on top of semis. It's like watching a demolition derby, but you don't actually have to risk being in the audience for it. The problem that
It's a similar audience for wrestling and demolition derbies.
Really is. The problem that I have with it, though, is nobody ever sells it.
No.
It's very rare that Shane will jump off of something and he won't be on the next night of SmackDown.
Yeah, or he's like not a walking man of jelly.
Right.
Is his body made of ham? How is he so durable?
Exactly.
At number 3, Sylvia, why don't you lead us into this one?
Oh my god. So you know how like Jeff Hardy always comes to the ring and his hair is like soaking wet and it just looks like he either just got out of the shower or hasn't showered for like 8 days. So these were all things that you would see frequently in the Attitude Era. We remember it because we're gay men and we pay attention to people's hair. But
somebody at WWE must be piloting a time machine because they keep bringing back artifacts from the Attitude Era that need to just go away.
Just die.
Like, we don't need any more of, like, the misogyny. We can leave that behind.
Degeneration X doesn't work anymore in 2019.
We don't need it anymore.
Right. Why did we see Shawn Michaels and Triple H versus The Undertaker and Kane in 2018?
Where did they keep getting X-Pac from? Isn't he missing a fucking shift at Sitco?
Oh my god. You know he tore his gooch open once at an indie show? Like
what?
Yeah.
You can tear a gooch?
Oh yeah, it was bad. He almost bled out and died. He like missed his Bronco Buster and it just got a really bad case of ring postitis.
So the Bronco Buster is now the deadliest move in wrestling?
It is the deadliest move in wrestling.
It's finally over.
Yeah.
We did it. We fixed the Bronco Buster.
There's like just tons of other like instances though of like Attitude Era booking that just keeps on coming back. And the problem is that nobody cares right now. Like we are in a year where the focus of wrestling is no longer on like how crazy things can get in the ring rather than the in-ring products.
But you remember like I like this hardcore wrestling stuff and everything. You know how I feel about it, but the reason it got so over with like matches, like with women's matches, like Charlotte and Becky Lynch, the reason it was so good is because the wrestling in it was so refined.
It was refined, and it was also something like in the women's matches, I think what was refreshing about it is that we never saw, except in a few cases between like Trish Stratus and Victoria, we never saw that in women's wrestling.
Yeah, and it was very much, for lack of better words, a very sterilized environment they were allowed to play in.
Right. And play is a good word for it.
Yeah.
It wasn't wrestling.
They weren't burying each other in chairs.
Exactly. But, I mean, nowadays when I see something like that, like a street fight, like they could be good, but like it's just never going to be the same. We're never going to have that moment where...
you killed the chair shot. Like the chair shot doesn't really work anymore.
Right.
Nobody sells it.
We can't have another Royal Rumble 1999, girl.
No.
Ooh. But it just, it no longer appeases the modern wrestling audience who's all for like the indie-rific style. Like we have strong style, which is just as painful, but it's done better. And hardcore wrestling isn't the only part of the Attitude Era that hasn't really left us. Number 2, well, it's funny that this is number 2. Because, like, you need 2 of them to make it work.
It takes 2 to make a whole field time. I mean, no, that's not right. Tag teams.
Tag teams! Okay, tag teams are wonderful. Tag teams are great. But you know what WWE likes to do too much and too early? Split up the tag teams. There's only been one instance of this in the past couple of years that I remember being good, and that was when they split up DIY. We've seen teams that were over the moon get split up too early. Say what you will about Enzo Amore and Big Cass. They were over as hell.
I'll give you that. They were over.
Yeah. And WWE, instead of like giving them a run with a tag team championship or putting them in like top feuds with other tag teams, they split their team in a very boring feud. And I mean, like, nowadays too, like we see all these tag teams split, and then we're still seeing the same 3 tag teams being pushed over and over and over again. I love the New Day. I love the Usos. And I kind of tolerate the Bar. I am tired of seeing them every week.
Not to mention, I forget that like Revival or Sanity or anyone else is on the tag team division.
To be fair, Sanity, I don't think we've seen in any capacity more than a squash match in over a year.
Remember back in the 90s when tag team wrestling was so hot?
Oh my god, we had like the APA and then...
Even like shite tag teams like TNA were super over.
Oh my gosh. I don't know why I missed
like tag team wrestling was so hot.
It was great. And nowadays we don't have anything of note. And anytime there's like a new tag team, it seems like they're only setting it up to split the team.
It's like Cartman. He's gonna betray you.
It's so overdone, and we just need to put that to rest. And our number 1 biggest trope that we wish to die in wrestling
is the evil authority figures.
Oh, gosh.
Good Lord, this trope has been going on since I started watching wrestling as a kid.
Since before then. It's been going on since Eric Bischoff in 1997. We saw it with Vince McMahon, and the Vince McMahon-Steve Austin feud is great. But after this, like, it feels like WWE can never build a good storyline without a solid heel authority figure.
It kind of feels like, you know, a musician that only has one great song and they keep trying to remake it.
It's like, we're only coming out to see Styx to hear Don't Fear the Reaper or whatever song they have. I don't think that Styx, but
but it's fine.
They're playing the Waukesha County Fair. Like, there's the only reason they're there is so people can hear that. You know what I mean? I miss the good old days, and granted I wasn't alive, in the 1980s, where the only time that an authority figure would show up is when it was absolutely necessary. Most recent example, Kofi Kingston being removed from his match at Fastlane.
Yeah.
That serves no purpose other than to piss the fans off.
Not even that. Like, what bothers me the most about the heel authority figure is that it takes screen time away from the actual wrestlers and wrestling.
Wrestling in general. And
there's, like, Raw is the worst offender of this. There is a good 30-minute chunk that is usually just Stephanie McMahon droning on and on about her plans for this company.
Oh my God. When
like,
Raw...
How about your plan be show us some f***ing wrestling?
Exactly. And that's what people want to see. And that's, like, what people should get if you're going to move to something like Fox Sports. Do you remember when we went to Monday Night Raw in Milwaukee?
Yes, the worst. The day wrestling died.
The day wrestling died, as it was declared on Milwaukee's official Wikipedia page. I want to say an hour and a half of that episode was given to Baron Corbin, who I hate for reasons beyond his shitty stint as GM, but it was boring. It doesn't create any drama or any intensity anymore. We know what's coming. If we hear Vince McMahon's music, we know somebody's going to be removed from a title match.
And we're always sitting there with, like, our hands on our, like, okay, so when is What's-His-Nuts going to come out and beat him up?
Yeah.
So he can have his inevitable comeuppance. It's like you can see it a mile away.
Yeah.
It's not original anymore.
No. Once again, my name is Sylvia Nix.
And I'm Jaymes Mansfield.
And you've been watching Queens of the Ring. And until next time, unlike DIY, we're tagging out.
What's DIY?
Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano.
That's their name?
Yeah.
I never knew.
Oh, she didn't watch NXT.
Is that the one with Ricochet?
It was.
Okay.
Click here and see our worst WrestleMania moment. Or see our top 5 women's tag teams. Come on, click it. You know you want to. If you don't click it, I'll botch your finish at Mania. What, too soon? Just click it.